All right, well, welcome to the Hunt Backcountry podcast. Thank you guys, as always, so much for tuning in. This week we have a bit of a different episode, joined by Steve Speck and Lenny Nelson, the co-founders of Exo Mountain Gear, to take a few minutes in this show and talk about what is new for 2017 with Exo Mountain Gear. Before we get into new products, I know that a bunch of you guys, our listeners out there, or newer to the show and probably newer to what we're up to at Exo Mountain Gear. So, Steve, kind of first things first, give some of these listeners kind of the big picture for what Exo Mountain Gear is, what is the design philosophy behind the products, and we'll get to talking about what's new for 2017 in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Exo, we're just entering our fourth year of business here. What Exo is frankly, Lenny and I were best buddies, hunting partners, kind of, a little backstory there is we met, I was running a S&S archery booth at a trade show, and this guy walks up and we start talking about I think it's hunting, obviously, and get into mountain biking. And we're like, all of a sudden got a bunch of things in common, and then quickly become friends and, figure out that, hey, you backpack solo and I backpack solo. And, both of us are looking for hunting partners. And so we ended up finding out that we kind of elk hunted the same area and started hunting together. And so we came both from this kind of solo backpack mentality and always just testing our gear and always complaining about certain things, right? Everybody does. You wish this was better or that. And we had talked for years about making a pack. So our premise for building our pack was all about how we hunted, and we wanted to build a pack specifically for what we were doing, and that was backpacking here in Idaho. We go in, we're not crazy. We go in, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles. We'd backpack in. Back then we used to set up a camp and hunt. And so you drop all your camp gear and go hunt around and then come back to your camp every night. We've since changed to just keeping camp with us all the time. But we needed a pack that was super comfortable to haul that 30, 40 pounds in. At the same time, once we did kill something back there, pack outs were miserable. And we just kind of kept thinking, we had some ideas that we had talked about of what a good backcountry pack needed to be. And a lot of that started for us with the frame of something that was comfortable. That was the kind of the two ends of it, were super light day packs that were just miserable hauling meat, or like a really heavy duty pack frame style. It's comfortable there, but miserable to hunt in all day long. And we really felt like we could bridge that gap between the two. And so that also started with our frame, of the idea of kind of this frame that can move with you laterally, but be very rigid vertically for hauling those heavy loads. So yeah, that's the backstory. It's all about just this simple, effective, comfortable pack built for the backcountry. Super light, and that's where we started. And here we are, kind of 4 years later, and we're still keeping to that very simple principle of we have one frame, and then now we have 3 bags, our 2000, our 3500, and our 5500, that can all easily swap in and out on that frame. And, just makes for a really nice system for backpacking. And then, we even got our 2000 bag for the guys that day hunt. And, even on a day hunt, it's pretty easy to get 2, 3, 4 miles away from a road. And it just makes no sense to us to have a pack that has no frame to it, to have a miserable pack out of getting a light load of meat out and then having a pack frame, at the truck, and then you go back in and get the rest. So, that's basically kind of the nutshell picture of what Exo's about. Simple, effective packs for backpack style hunting.
All right, so here we are now talking about 2017 updates. Something that we have kind of announced previously is a new addition, a new colorway, Ranger Green. Lenny, just go ahead and give us the quick rundown on that. I know we've kind of covered it in other places as well, but some exciting stuff with Ranger Green. That's obviously going to match some other patterns better, things like that. But anything else to cover there, Lenny?
Not really. Obviously, we're going to drop foliage kind of in our line and trying to keep it, simple. We've got 3 colors. So now we'll have Ranger, Coyote, and Multicam. And we just felt like Ranger was definitely it's much greener and probably more in the brown shades versus foliage is more of the gray blue shades. And most of the camo patterns are kind of going away from the blues and the grays. They're going more towards the greens and the browns. So we felt like that just fit in a lot better. And we did have some supply issues with foliage because it was just, not as many people are using it. So it's a great time to change. And man, once we made a pack up in it, it looks really, really good. And we're happy the way it turned out.
Yeah, excellent. So Coyote, Ranger, and multicam moving forward. Talk about the frame a bit, Steve. So last year the K2 titanium frame was new. This year continue to roll forward with that, some minor tweaks, but give us the lowdown on the frame for 2017.
Yeah, one thing I'd say, just kind of big picture, is you're probably always going to see us improving and constantly working on the packs every single year. I think that's just kind of Lenny and I being, hey, we're just building these packs for us, and if we find like an improvement or something we can make into it, we do it. And I think other companies are probably smarter and maybe make more money at the end of the day by just sticking with a design for 5 or something years. But we're just kind of constantly tweaking and prototyping. We just moved into a new place here this last week, and we have a corner of this thing like 20 foot by 20 feet that is just full of prototype crap. It's pretty ridiculous. Lenny and I were just talking about it today. Like, we got to go through that pile and just basically throw a lot of stuff away, and just fabric and foam and all sorts of stuff. But it's just something we're always going to be pushing forward and improving the pack. So that said, on the K2, yeah, we came out with that last year, and frankly, it was really well received. We were extremely happy with it. It's just been a solid frame. It's super comfortable, light loads, heavy loads, super forgiving of awkward heavy loads, zero squeaking issues, zero durability issues. So we were super happy with it, and just kind of continued it on for 17 here. We did a few minor tweaks, like the guys with the taller torso. We increased the Velcro contact patch, so they're getting a little bit more contact with the shoulder harness to the frame. And then we really thought we could improve our belt. And it's one of those things, it's not like we're unhappy with the old belt. It's just like we felt like there was more room to grow, things we wanted to improve on. And it was, Lenny can speak to this, but I think one of the final prototypes we made, Lenny had texted me at like freaking midnight, because he's sewing a lot of these in his garage, and he's like, all right, just finished up with 1,129 prototype. And it was no joke. I mean, yeah, we freaking just tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, and in a good and bad way, I guess you could say. I think we got like 10 to 20% improvement out of it. I don't know, Lenny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's it's funny because talking about prototyping, honestly, the only way that we believe that you can prototype is literally putting it on your back and put it on weight and hiking with it. Somebody trying to design these behind a desk and assuming things work well from, screen to production is doesn't work for us. And so our prototyping is literally, we'll get maybe our existing pack and then a new prototype pack, and then Steve and I will hike side by side, and we'll kind of compare notes, and we'll swap packs and keep doing it. And a lot of times people won't even notice the small changes that we make, but it's the part of it, I think, that keeps us going, that we just always feel like there's just that next level we can keep taking it to, and we're excited to keep doing that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm trying to, on the frame, I think that's basically it. We increased that Velcro patch, changed the shape of the belt, and I think that's it. Lenny, is there anything else?
That's it.
Yeah.
I will say this isn't functional, but some of the changes that you guys have made in terms of getting rid of some of the blacks on the mesh and things like that, and making the frame more color matched to the bag, looks freaking phenomenal. Although I'm not gonna make you haul a load any better, but that does look great this year.
Yeah, we definitely, I think from an aesthetic standpoint, have just kind of continually chipped away at it, just like everything else, and we're really happy with frankly, when you make the pack look pretty for taking a photo, it looks good. The kind of phasing out some of the black fabric that was in the bag, the black spacer mesh that was on the harness and belts, and they're kind of getting pretty sexy.
Right, the black hook and loop is, most of it's gone. So yeah, it looks sharp.
For sure. So 3,500 and 5,500 bags. Those are the long stays. Those are the bags that have been there really since the beginning, with some changes year over year. But for 2017, certainly some changes worth talking about. Go ahead and talk first, Steve, about the stretch pocket, the exterior stretch pocket, which guys have used and loved for years, but there's some changes this year.
Yeah. So basically the change we did was you used to access that from the top. It was basically just kind of a open access. You just slid your hand in and out of there. There was no zipper, no snap, nothing. Just easily in and out from the top. The reason we did that was basically our original 3500 had the lid sewn into it, and right at that seam was also the seam where the pocket started, and it was very easy to access in and out. And it's something that Lenny and I are constantly focused on, is that kind of, we just say like simplicity and efficiency of using this bag. Of we want you to be able to get to certain parts and pieces of it without having to undo 12 compression straps or have a bunch of stuff in your way. And so when we changed to a floating lid, this is getting into a long story here, but when we changed into a floating lid, basically you were cinching that lid down and blocking off access to that pocket. So to get to it, you had to loosen up the lid and pull it up and then get down in there. And we just kind of a year ago, frankly, decided like, hey, next year, let's just put a zipper here on the side, because you could put the zipper pulls right in between the two compression straps, open it up, get in and out of there easily. And it's just one less step that you got to do to access the pack. And it is something that sounds a little silly, but sometimes seconds do matter when you're hunting. It maybe getting in and out of there, getting your, it just could matter sometimes. So that you're more focused on hunting and less worried about fiddling with your pack.
Yeah, awesome. Moving inside, Lenny, tell us about the bladder sleeve, which, although it's just a bladder sleeve, serves more purposes than that.
Yeah, definitely. So historically, we've just kind of had you'd hang a bladder from the top, and this year we decided to kind of add a few more features to it. And so what we did is we use some 70D, which is pretty much waterproof, and we ran it from seam to seam, top to bottom. So basically the back panel on the backpack now really has a double layer. And then you can slide your bladder down in there, and it's big enough for a bladder, and it kind of really almost acts as a secondary pocket too, So for me, I'll throw in my game bags and a couple other things that I don't get to very often, and I just know it's there. And what's great about that is if your water bladder does happen to have a leak, or the hose pops off or something inside your bag, it'll keep that water separated from your gear, and it'll kind of push it all the way out the bottom and should go out the bottom seam. And then lastly on that, what we really like is if you got a piece of meat and it happens to be really bloody and you're on a long hike, and the way our bag system works is the meat goes between the frame and the bag, and if you have your sleeping bag and your tin in there, sometimes some of that blood would have a tendency to eventually kind of push through and soak through because it's such a tight compression on there. Now we've got basically a double layer there, which makes it nearly impossible to get any of your gear inside bloody. So we kind of felt like, just a normal water bladder, it wasn't worth it for us. But since we kind of felt like we solved three problems there, we're excited to add it this year.
Awesome. So the 35 and 55 going to take some design cues from the new day pack, the 2000 that you guys introduced last year. Steve, tell us about the roll top design for the 35 and 55.
Yeah, so we did that last year on the 2000. Almost, we were excited about it. We really liked it for that bag design, and two, it was almost like a kind of a trial testing period to see how it would be received. Because it is a different concept. There's not too many hunting packs out there, or really packs that, REI, that they're using roll tops. And it was, the 2000 bag became one of our most popular bags that we have. People absolutely loved it. And a constant favorite feature, that was the roll top. And so we went to that on the 3500 and 5500 this year. We do like it a lot from one perspective, in that when you are, we're always concerned about, we're not just designing the 5500 for 14-day trips. It's also got to function well if you're just going day hunting with it. Same for the 3500. We're really focused on compressibility, being able to use it when empty, and at the same time, the compression straps and everything function really well, and it's designed for being full. So the roll top rolls up that extra fabric that used to be in the collar, and you can just get it nice and snug and tight, basically forget it's there. So if you're just day hunting, you just go in and out of the side zipper, and it's kind of a nice seamless pack. The main reason we went with it is we came out with our own basically system of using an integrated dry bag with the pack. And this was something Lenny and I came up with, kind of the original concept of it in Alaska a few years back when we were up there. We were on a moose hunt and basically literally hunting in a swamp. I mean, the best thing I could compare it to was like duck hunting or something like that. I mean, knee deep in water for freaking 12 days straight or whatever the hunt was. And we had came out of that. Actually, we killed our moose and we were sitting there for 5 days waiting for the plane to come pick us up. And we had talked during that time of like, man, we really need to put on the bucket list of a pack to build as a 100% waterproof pack. And I think we were so pissed at the swamp, we were going to call the pack the Swamp Pack 3000. So we kind of got back and we've been just toying around with that idea. We've been talking to a lot of suppliers and manufacturers on how can you build like this functioning pack that's still waterproof. It'd be kind of easy to do a duffel bag that is strapped to the pack. But again, we're not just building a pack that's a duffel bag. It's got to function. And somewhere along the line, over a year ago or so, we came up with the idea of like, well, let's just build these integrated dry bags that just kind of snap into the inside of the bag. We weren't even sure what that was going to look like, but we just basically wanted to be like this liner that became a part of the pack. And since then, the design's kind of materialized into what it is now. It's just this dry bag. It's the exact same dimensions as the interior of the pack, connects down on the bottom, and then in the roll top of all 3 bags, we have 4 button snaps, like 2 kind of offset in the middle and 2 on each side. And so you drop the bag in there, snap it in, and all of a sudden, bam, you've got 100% waterproof protection for your gear. So it's kind of, the other part of the story is we were getting asked for rain covers constantly. And it's just frankly not a product Lenny and I believe in. And, we keep going back to like, we are literally building these for ourselves and what we would use and wouldn't use. In a rain cover, we could have sold some and made some money on it, but they're just kind of I don't want to say a junk product, but they're just a pain in the ass, and there's a lot of flaws. They're noisy. You go through brush, they get ripped off. When you have it on, you can't access your pack at all. All the compression straps, all the pockets are hidden. And it's kind of part of the evolution of this is we knew there had to be a better way. So, yeah, big picture, you're going on a 7-day hunt, and it's going to be, there's a good chance of rain and snow during that hunt. You basically snap that dry bag in. They're going to weigh like, I think the 2000 version weighs like 5.5 ounces. And you're guaranteed to keep your sleeping bag and your clothes and anything else that has to stay dry. But at the same time, you've got your pack, you've got your compression straps, you've got your side pockets for your spine scope and your tripod. Even my jet boil, when it's all sealed up in the thing, I'll be able to kind of put inside the bag, but exterior of the dry bag. That way I can still get to it quickly if I want to make coffee or something during the day. So to us, it was just kind of all these light bulbs started clicking, and we're like, man, this is the perfect solution. And we're really excited about this for this year. It's going to be a kind of a game-changing product in our opinion.
Yeah, and that's coming later this summer, right?
Yes, yeah, we're still working with our manufacturer on getting this. It is a RF welded product, so it's once it goes through this machine that melts the 2 fabrics together, so it's 100% waterproof. It's not going to be sewn or anything like that. And we're working through those bugs, getting that all dialed in, and we'll have them shipping this summer and available for order this summer too. We're not taking orders on them just yet.
Yeah, excellent. So everything else
Lenny,
we covered.
did I miss anything? Oh, I was going to say, Lenny, did I miss anything cool about the dry bags?
No. I think you hit it pretty good. I mean, the only other thing was, you can obviously take it out when you're spike camping, but I mean, that's not a big deal.
Oh, right. It is a huge benefit. I mean, we built it so that it can roll up and connect to itself. So if you're running it inside the bag and you don't want to connect it inside the bottom so you can pull it out quickly, if you're hunting like Lenny and I used to, and you get in somewhere and you want to just drop your camp, if you had all your camp gear in there, pull it out, throw it on the ground. And also, if you ever need excess room, you could definitely run it between the frame and the bag.
Yeah, throw it in the load shelf and extend the volume for sure.
Yep.
So all of the 2017 pack sizes, the 2000, the 35, the 55, they're going to accept one of these dry bags, but obviously there's going to be a dry bag model for each of those sizes. So every pack bag gets their own dry bag to take the full use of that pack's volume, right?
Yeah, so there's 3 different sizes, all sized specifically for the bag that you're buying it for. And again, that's part of that kind of seamless integration. It's kind of hard to visualize. When we were just down at the Salt Lake Hunt Expo, and there's a bunch of people I had told about this, some local guys, and then they came down, and we tell about them, they're just kind of like, oh, that sounds cool, and they actually see it in practice and how it's like you just open up the roll top and bam, you're immediately in the dry bag. There's no extra step to that, and so that part of that is being sized specifically to the inside of the bag.
Yeah, awesome. And we've already gotten the question, so just to address it, these dry bags won't be compatible with previous year's bags. I mean, certainly you could just throw the dry bag inside the bag, but in terms of the true integration, it's made for the 2017 bags and beyond.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you could. Technically, we could add the button snaps to a 2000 if somebody wanted to send a bag back to us, and we can put those in easily. You wouldn't be able to get the snap or the connection point down inside the bag, but the top part we could do. So if that's something you're interested out there, just shoot us an email at info@exomountaingear.com and we can get you lined out. But yeah, you could drop it inside of an old 35 or 5500, but again, you're missing that kind of
you're missing the roll top integration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So the 2017, everything except for the dry bag, which we just covered, which will be out later this summer. Everything else is shipping now, essentially, right? I mean, I know there's a back order, or there's a log of back orders that, we're fulfilling at the moment as this podcast comes out, but new orders placed from the time that someone hears this, the product is in stock, it's getting caught up, and, it's going to be shipped as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, we're rolling in production right now. I think this podcast is probably going to go out pretty quick. So 5500s are still like 2 weeks out. But 2000s and 3500s, we're going to kind of have, as we go through production, you might see a week or 2 delay here and there. But for the most part, you get the pack within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, perfect. All right. Anything else here to cover for 2017?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much covers it. Not not a lot of changes by our standard, but if well, I guess I shouldn't say that. any other pack company, they'd make this be like a revolutionized thing. But
it's all new. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. So that's a wrap on the pack updates, but certainly with this time of year, we're digging the bows back out and getting excited about upcoming seasons. I know for you, Lenny, there's kind of some bow drama going on of you're trying to figure out how to shoot the thing. Well, tell us what's going on with like left-handed, right-handed, with a mix that you're into.
Oh, I have. It's funny. I like making my life hard, I think, sometimes. So I've always shot my bow right-handed, but I've always been left-eye dominant. So I just shoot with my one eye closed, and it's worked okay. But I've always wanted to be able to shoot with both eyes open, just trying to be a better hunter and a better shooter. So last year, I just went like whole hog, and I got a new bow. I'd shot elites before, and then we're shooting Hoyts, and so I got a brand new Hoyt, first Hoyt I've ever owned. And I went left-handed all at the same time. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. No problem, right? And I shot and shot and shot and shot. And I tell you what, it was so much more difficult than I ever imagined, even down to the small things of, for the first half day, I walked around with the rangefinder in the wrong pocket. And as soon as I went to go range something, I'm like, oh, my God, it's in the wrong pocket. And I didn't know which bow.
You're playing Twister to get your rangefinder out.
Yeah, literally. And you wouldn't believe how hard it is to range with your left hand. That was almost harder than shooting. I mean, it was, just so awkward trying to range with your left hand in your left pocket. And I mean, it was a lot harder than I anticipated it. And so the short of the story, I'm just going to stick with closing one eye, and I'm going back to a right-handed bow this year for bear hunting. And hopefully that turns out a lot better for me, because it was. I think it's one of those things. I think I got my bow. They were back ordered. So I think maybe I got it the first of summer. So I probably shot it maybe for 3 months. And I think to make a change like that, it probably needs to be like a full year.
Yeah.
And so I guess lesson learned. I thought I'd been shooting bows long enough I could make the switch easy, but it was tough. And honestly, I think shooting it was tough. I wasn't as accurate out to range, and just based on my effective range shrunk. But really, the logistics of your rangefinder and putting your arrow on your rest, that was in a hunting situation.
Putting your arrow on.
Yeah, literally, because it's all backwards. You're using your hand, and I mean,
Lenny's like, once I'm ranged and have an arrow loaded, I'm good. It's just getting to that point that's difficult.
Because when you're at the range, you're not pulling it out your quiver and put it on there. So now all of a sudden it's in your quiver and you're pulling out with your left hand, and I mean it is, and you're in a high pressure situation, and I mean I was just like, this is not worth it. So I'm going to go right-handed this year, and I've got a year or two to do it. Then I might do it, but I think I might be over it.
That's funny. So how do you shoot a rifle, Lenny? Do you shoot a rifle right-handed?
Yep, right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just close, my left eye. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm primarily right-hand dominant in terms of riding and throwing, but everything else that I am left eye dominant, and I don't know if I just got lucky or what, but from when I was little, I like swing a baseball bat left-handed, hockey stick, a bow, a rifle. So it kind of works with my eye dominance, even though everything else I'm essentially right-handed. So that is interesting. I know for me, regardless of what eye dominant I am, the thought of shooting a bow right-handed to me makes me feel a certain kind of special, for sure.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. That's funny
so
stuff.
no switching for Lenny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then, I've never actually killed a bear either, so I kind of want to get after it this year and kill a bear. So I'll definitely try to see if Steve can teach me some baiting techniques, as I've never done that really.
Yeah, baiting's tough, man. It's a lot of people look down upon it, and I frankly did before I started doing it, but I just got so frustrated that I couldn't kill a bear with my bow, spot, and stock that eventually I was like, screw it, I'm going to do a bait. And oh man, a bait's so much freaking work. I think if you had a bait set up and you brought your buddy in there and he shot one, it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's a little easy. But if you're actually the one,
that's kind of what Lenny's going for. If you didn't get the picture,
right?
Steve.
Yeah, no,
he is that buddy.
Well, no way, man. He's got to set up his own. So, yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to it. We'll get out and do some spot and stock early, and then put a bait out later, because guaranteed probably not going to be successful spot and stock with a bow. But
yeah, you have wasn't one of your bears spot and stock, Steve?
Yeah, I've got one down. But it's a one down per like 90 days of bear hunting for freaking spot and stock. It's tough.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't fully grasp how much work it was till it was a podcast episode when we talked to Russ Meyer, and he was talking about how he runs his bait setups, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much time and effort involved in just getting that going, to say that, oh yeah, you just, throw a donut out there, sprinkle some maple syrup on it, and like, here they come, magic,
Yeah. It can work that easy, but I've killed a lot of elk and deer a heck of a lot easier than any bear I've killed over a bait, as far as like time and effort that's gone into it. So
yeah,
for
sure. Awesome. We'll be we're looking forward to getting you back on the show, Lenny, to hear about the big bear that you killed this spring, right-handed.
Heck yeah. Right-handed.
Right-handed.
That'd be one thing I don't have
knife.
to think about. There we go. So what about back where you are, Mark? Are you guys hunting anything this spring?
Yeah, I mean, here spring is just essentially turkey. So it's it's fun to get out. I kind of try to treat turkey hunting like I'm, chasing mini elk around, meaning I don't like to sit in a blind. I like to be much more mobile and have the interaction of calling and trying to get in position and, trying to cut them off, things like that. So for me, I just have a ton of fun running around the woods normally, but part of the season for sure, I will be sitting in a blind just because I'm looking forward to taking my kids out. So My daughter's 8 and my son is 5. So it's kind of one of those deals where, you know, wake them up well before sunrise, drag them out there. But if nothing else, you get to spend some time in a blind with them and catch a sunrise with them and see how long they can sit and be quiet while we try and call a turkey. So yeah, for me, it's, you know, it'll be fun. But yeah, this season is just looking forward to getting my kids out and having some fun with them.
That's great.
So, Lenny, you were planning on doing the same thing with your son, and we were sitting there talking, and I was like, yeah. Lenny's wife was sitting right there, like, oh, it's a piece of cake. Your son could come hang out in the blind, and the bears will come in. And she looked at me like, you're not taking my son bear hunting.
Yeah, of course, then we digressed into a joke about him wearing the bait, and yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Dad, why are you tying me to this tree? Don't worry, son. I'll shoot him before he gets that close.
Kids are a blast.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you are going right-handed, especially if you're considering sacrificing one of your sons. I don't want you to, you know, have the rangefinder in the wrong pocket and mess something up, and then your poor son.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, Steve and Lenny, for joining us, and thanks, listeners, for tuning in on this one. We will resume the Building A Backcountry Rifle series in upcoming episodes, so we hope that you guys are looking forward to that. Lenny, you're getting back on here this spring to tell us the bear story, okay?
Deal.
It's happening. Pressure is on.
All right, Steve, put me on a bear.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, thanks,
Mark.